Wait. Hello. Hang on. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a strange episode of the DOVECOTE that is being hosted in my Discord. Um, it is 7 o'clock p.m., January 22nd. This is the 12th episode with guest host Six Valentine. Six, please feel free to say hi and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm the secret endgame interview. There will be no more episodes after this.
That's right. Um,
Uh, Shit, I don't even know what to mention first. I'm a tabletop RPG writer. I have a lot of work done in the homebrew space. Uh, Up on my itch.io, there are two Lancer homebrews. That's kind of been my main squeeze for a while. But I'm also writing a Powered by the Apocalypse game called Gunplay and a D20 tri-stat system called Hell is Full. Hell is Full will be published September 2026. Uh, it's in the works. Gunplay probably sooner than that.
hell yeah. Um, yeah, I've had the pleasure of reading bits of Gunplay and also playing Hell's Full, and both are really cool. And I'm excited to see you do more with them. Uh, so the reason why this stream is not on Twitch and is instead on my Discord is because of the Palestine strike, which we'll be talking about more later. It's week long from the 22nd to the 28th. Um, Although if you're watching this as a VOD, you are probably it is probably already passed. So I'm probably back to streaming. Um, or you're watching this as a prelude to my episode with Wendy Ripston. Um,
Yeah, I'm a tough act to follow up. Sorry, Wendy.
yeah. Um, so let's. Oh shit, the birds. Get them out of here. Get these fucking
Get
birds
the
out
hell
of
out of
here.
here!
Shoo.
I'm
Fucking.
fucking I'm hitting them with newspapers. It's like no, it's
Okay.
not your time.
Intrero can come back.
You're cool.
Boom.
What up,
Those
birdie
of
boy?
you who are watching in the Discord, which I think is just Lilith right now, feel free to feel free
Hi,
feel,
Lilith.
feel free to send email questions to darlingdemoneclipse@gmail.com. Um, you have an itch page, don't you, Sex? Let me
I do. Uh, Funniest Valentine.io.
yeah.
If any,
Funniest
I hope there's a Cars on Mars fan out there.
itch dot. Hang on, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting you. Valentine.itch.io. I'm being punished. I'm being punished for hubris. If you have it, feel free to send it. Cause I'm.
Yeah, it's Funny Valentine. I always forgot.
Oh, okay.
It's Funniest Valentine was my handle for a long time on SoundCloud. I think it probably still is actually.
Oh, okay.
It was also my Discord name for forever. Funniest
Funny.
Valentine. I read JoJo Part 8 and it changed my personality forever.
That's good. I'm having trouble. Can you send it to me? I'm having trouble finding it.
Yeah, I dropped it in the Twitch chat actually,
Oh,
but I
okay, that'll
can
work.
send it to.
That'll do it. God bless. Okay. um, there's a dog barking, and I can't really do anything about that dog barking, so that'll be fun.
That's
Not ever
fine.
stimulating at all. Um,
I
but
love dogs.
we all love dogs, and we love all dogs.
Oh
But
right,
yeah.
my fucking Twitch name is Funniest Valentine. I fucking forgot.
we will we will officially begin the interview with my first question. Who the fuck do you think you are? No, uh,
Who the hell do you think we are?
yeah. Um, no, I'd love to hear. I mean, you've kind of talked a little bit about stuff they're working on, but I'd love to hear about stuff that you're working on. What sort of games do you want people to know about that you're excited about that you've in progress?
Well, I think what's going to be coming out the soonest that people would actually be able to like buy would be Gunplay, powered by the Apocalypse 2D6 system. It's PBTA, but it's actually very much inspired by specifically Blades in the Dark. Um, the elevator pitch of gunplay is thirsty gun lesbians, actually, but it's not really that. It's a lot more akin to if anybody's familiar with my fiction writing, like mecha perv shit, like girls who have been objectified to the point of being weapons. Your character is fully defined by what gun they use because the gun is how you interact with the world, both in a romantic and in a violent sense. That's sort of like equating of violence with romance, because that's the only way you know how to interact with the world. It's as easy as breathing or speaking. You know.
Yeah. Uh, from what I've seen of it is very very neat, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see like what the product winds up being. Um, it's a very cool thing. I love I don't know. It's always really cool seeing like fusion of different mechanics and elements from different games.
It's funny because it's a tactical theater of the mind game.
Hell yeah. um,
It can be played theater of the mind, but you could also play it with a map. But it's supposed to be a bit more light on the necessary visuals for that.
yeah. You have a very like Lancer like tactical games background, right?
Yeah, no, I'm very much heavy tactics, like wargamey almost. D&D, I got really into making like uh strong but interesting builds. I was never a power gamer. I was always a min maxer, but the tactics of D&D and like the freedom of play and the emerging gameplay of that was always fun. And then I played Lancer, and Lancer just blew it the fuck out of the water. Like combat in D&D now for me is so tedious. I don't know if I could ever go back to it. My beautiful dog wife Magdalene is pulling me into Pathfinder. I'll be playing like a flesh warp alchemist, and
Ooh.
maybe that'll give me the fantasy bug again. But I've been on a sci-fi kick for so long at this point. Like the problems I have with D&D are solved by Pathfinder because Pathfinder is just a crunchier version of D&D. It's more tactically minded,
Right.
and like Pathfinder in a lot of other respects isn't a replacement for D&D. Like it's definitely not the go-to fantasy tabletop RPG if you want like specifically like narrative mechanics that are a lot more engaging, or you want something that's less problematic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Uh, because oh man, wow, Baldur's Gate, right? I feel like this has probably been talked about on this on DOVECOTE a million times. I haven't caught up on the recent episodes, but I remember that's already been
Yeah.
discussed.
Not that much, because honestly, most of the people I bring on here haven't played Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, I've played like 100 hours of Baldur's Gate 3. I was going to do another playthrough recently or soon, actually, because I just 100%ed Bloodstained Ritual of the Night,
Oh.
and I just kind of want to dig my teeth into something else. And I really do like Baldur's Gate 3's gameplay loop.
Mhm.
It's character creator. Oh man, but the
Really
character
good.
creator though is so fucking bad. I tried
Oh, you
making
don't
one
like
of
it?
my I don't it's good in really specific ways,
Hmm.
just like D&D. It is really good for making an incredibly attractive um it's good for making pretty dolls, but I wanted to make a
Right.
nasty dyke, and it wasn't happening, and I was really frustrated with trying to make a clocky T-girl. Like, okay, the thing about the facial hair system in Baldur's Gate is so lacking. There's like three
Yeah.
beards, there's no mutton chops. You can't have any variety of what kind of, like, it's just like maybe I should just look into the mods,
And
I
there's like
guess. But
two
like
bodies for every race, which really
yeah,
sucks.
there's like two fucking bodies. Like, come on. Like, I get it. It's a very high fidelity game. If you limit the amount of choices that characters of the types of bodies that characters can have, you're able to maintain that high fidelity across the entire game. But like, it's a really far pulled out third person game. You could have
Yeah.
gotten away with a Dark Souls tier, like Dark Souls, like Elden Ring. Elden Ring has my favorite character creator ever because
Hmm.
it lets you fucking make whatever you goddamn want. That's what a character creator should enable, is for you to actually engage with fantasy.
Make a
But like,
stinky slopper.
yeah, like if you're gonna like, but like, I wouldn't want there to be more crunch on a game just to get a better character creator. But it
Right.
does pull me out of the fantasy that I can't create a character who is like nasty. I want to create characters I'd actually play.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Dark Tide's great for that. Dark Tide lets you fuck them up. I love it.
I still have not. I'm not really a Warhammer person, but Dark Tide seems cool.
I like Warhammer in the sense of I like buying things to paint. I have like a
Mm.
little Necron kill team. I've played it once or twice on Tabletop Simulator, because I wasn't buying a full army just to fucking. I'm actually more into BattleTech because BattleTech's cheaper and I like painting my mechs. But I also still haven't fucking played that game. I just own minifigures that I like to paint. It's really just the hobby part for me, not the game.
Yeah, that's very fair. Um, I I can't really afford minis at the moment, but maybe when maybe perhaps
Yeah.
when during in brighter days, perhaps I will become a mini head. Um,
Yeah, I see. I buy a bunch and I don't paint a lot of them, so then I
mhm.
don't feel like like I space out how many times I paint them, so I make it last longer that I can actually engage with it rather than cranking through them really quickly.
Oh yeah, that's smart.
So I have a big backlog of minis, so I don't really have a good reason to buy more.
Lilith says that you should play Kill Team the next time that you're there. I don't know what that
Yeah,
is.
Kill Team is a variant on Warhammer rules. It's like a smaller scale version of Warhammer.
Oh, fun. Um, in terms of tactical games, I've been playing Planet Fist lately, which I believe I sent you.
You told me about that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm probably gonna be running that soon.
Yeah,
Jess is
I've
very
been
smart.
Yeah, no, it looked really cool. I have been meaning to get into Fist and Claymore and all that stuff. I have the Mandelbrot thing. I forget what word I'm looking for, but it's got really cool art in it, and I don't know. The creator seems kind of based, and I was like, oh, cool, that's fine. And
Yeah.
they were in the. I bought the LGBT bundle from Itch, and that
Mm.
was included with it. It Man, that bundle changed my fucking life because it has my favorite game ever on it.
What
Actually,
game?
uh, Doomsday Dream Girl by Nadia Nova.
Oh.
Nadia Nova has single-handedly changed the way that I approach writing
Hmm.
for the better. I genuinely I genuinely recommend that anybody who is interested in trauma queer media and is wants to drop like 30 minutes on a visual novel, just read like Doomsday Dream Girl, Hopeless Junction. There's a new one that Nadia is working on right now. It's it's just really good trans femme centric lesbian media, and the art's
Hell yeah.
beautiful, the sound design, just the writing. I finished Doomsday Dream Girl, and like I was changed by it. I had never been so like as a trans woman, and this will probably lead into some of the other stuff, but as a
Hmm.
trans woman, I don't really find a lot of media that speaks to my experience specifically
Yeah.
often. It took me a while to find that in like Empty Spaces Twitter and stuff, which I got pushed into by following a Homestuck writer called Eclipse because they kept retweeting that stuff, and I was like, "This is really cool. I should make a secondary account to follow this shit so that nobody because my main Twitter is ostensibly supposed to be safe for work, but uh,
Another eclipse, I assume, because I'm not.
another Eclipse, yeah, yeah, Admiral Eclipse, not you Eclipse, a
Yeah. No.
different, yeah.
Just to clarify for the audience.
Yeah, just to clarify, sorry, I said it without thinking about it. Um, and I don't know, Doomsday Dream Girl just what made me want to write more honestly, I guess.
Hmm.
And because of Doomsday Dream Girl, I wrote Stalker and I wrote I Make You. And if you have Eclipse, you've read I Make You and shit. And if you then
Yes.
play um Doomsday Dream Girl, I think you will see a lot of very similar patterns of like themes and whatnot. And just walking away from Doomsday Dream Girl and realizing I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I am exactly where I want to be, yet everyone wants me dead for it was
Right.
a tragedy that struck me to my core so thoroughly. But like it's this simultaneous like acknowledgement of the tragedy of being a trans femme in a world where people want you dead, and there's a lot of joy in being trans femme,
Hmm.
right? But that dichotomy of it. Um, I I feel like I'm going off topic, but this
You're
is
okay.
like the core emotional kernel of like everything I work on. I feel
Yeah,
but, like that dichotomy of like the joy and sorrows of being a trans woman and like the injustice and tragedy of it um is central to what I make, and I think I Make You is like the strongest example of that.
yeah,
But Doomsday Dream Girl is like quintessential reading for me. Like I recommend it to everybody I can. Hopeless Junction is also really good. It's a lot less depressing. I say that, but like I can't like give away some of like the twists in that story, but like it's funny that somehow Hopeless Junction feels less depressing than
yeah.
Doomsday Dream Girl.
I still need to read both, but they seem really great. Um,
Yeah.
I yeah, I think like I feel like as like queer people, and I think especially as trans women, we're like kind of sieved into this like singular like people want us to make She-Ra stories, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People want us to make like uh the people want us to make stories where like the gay straight alliance fights fascism, and like that is a type of story, but I would much rather have like messy queer people making nasty mistakes at each other. uh
Yeah. I want to explore an honest like I want to honestly portray what being recurrently traumatized by a society that hates you,
mhm.
right? It doesn't make you a good person usually. It makes you a very messy and complicated person. Like
Yeah,
there's a myth of trauma that it informs your art and it ultimately like makes you stronger. No, like what doesn't kill you doesn't make you stronger. It just doesn't kill you.
just fucking sucks. Yeah.
And being like it's good to survive. The one thing that all trans women must do is survive.
Survive.
That is something I fundamentally believe in, is that you will live.
You will live.
I you could listen, you could be a piece of shit, but ultimately you have to live. Like I, you have to.
Yeah.
You literally have to. That is the most important piece of praxis I can offer to literally any trans woman is fucking live.
There was a big. I think like. I mean, I think I can thank Bun for this a lot. Not to get too much into like what um I guess Bun's lifestyle and desires and and stuff, but like
I'm aware.
Bun is very empty spaces, right? And like
Yeah.
when I first met her, I was very much not. I think I had been taught a certain level of anxiety around like being seen a certain way and being seen as like too harsh or too kinky or too like openly this or that. Um, and
Yeah.
I think like one of the big things that was an awakening moment for me. I think it was a June Strings tweet actually, which was about like if excluding a couple of real exceptions, like a trans woman is like openly fascist or something. Like if a trans woman does something that I disagree with, I don't for the most part, I don't go out and fight them. I just kind of let it slide because I want them to survive and thrive, even if we're coming from completely different belief sets or backgrounds or value systems. Because I fundamentally believe in trans women and think that I think it's more important that we're all. It's more important that we all get out of this alive than any like petty shit about like you're like 10% more okay with AI images than I am, right? like,
Yeah. And
uh,
like,
yeah,
there's an extreme example that happened on Twitter recently
mhm.
where these two trans women like took a selfie as like in support of like the IDF or whatever, and that's shitty. That's awful.
Yeah,
But like, I am discomforted by the immediate misogyny that just leaps out of everybody who just get
mhm.
really excited to dunk on a trans woman.
Yeah,
Like, like fascist trans women are not the real chunk of people we should be fighting. They're not really the people who need to be the Twitter villains. They they have no real power. They're buying Starbucks, right? While simultaneously they're probably losing access to HRT. Like in Ohio, some people are losing access to HRT, right? Like, is this really the fight we have to pick? I don't like it when it happens because I don't like when people take it as an excuse to just be transphobic, to be a misogynist, and to just eviscerate a trans woman online, because
Yeah.
that has a chilling effect on just the general group. Like, I know that I'm a lot more careful about what I say about certain groups and members of like the Lancer community, because ultimately I'm a trans woman. I can't get away with saying controversial things ultimately, and I still do it because ultimately sometimes I think honesty in my art is more important than than whether or not I get shit. Like, but
Yeah.
I try not to be specific about who I'm talking about. Usually, is how I come at it. Like, I'm a very opinionated person ultimately, so I'm constantly having to monitor myself. I don't know. There was that one thing is like you have to kill the cop in your head.
Yeah.
I, I'm completely
Absolutely.
all over the place right now, but you know what
No,
I'm
you're right
trying
though.
to say.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I think listen, like we'll get into Zionism later, to be clear. Uh this is there will be time later for us to yell about Zionism. Uh
Yeah, don't worry. I can
however,
get mad about that. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get. We can get mad about that.
yeah. However, I think there is a degree of to which like something that I learned in college was like people pick accessible targets rather than like the most productive targets to pick. They pick the people who they know they can hurt. Um, and so like uh, sometimes
Yeah,
people are made into symbols, and it sucks. And it's usually trans women. We are like we are the iconoclasts and the pariahs and the devils of this world. Devils slash pause.
yeah, and it does get complicated because there is like a subset of like white trans women that are racist and
Hmm.
are problematic and uh do have more leverage in the community because of the way that they use their privilege and use white supremacy to gain clout.
Yeah.
There's a name on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it right now. That's a good example of that. But like,
Couples.
Keffels, yeah,
Yeah.
Keffels. But like, here's the thing: a racist white guy gets away with it 100% of the time. A racist trans woman will be obliterated. That's the
Yeah.
intersectionality that we have to acknowledge. Of like, what's the pecking order on who's cancelable?
Yeah. No, it's
And
real.
like, she can still get away with it, but that's because she's white, not because trans women rule the world or whatever. Like some fucking freakazoids might imply.
Yeah. The problem is that like we use the word cancel culture when it's like when the person at risk is like a white supremacist, but never when it's like a marginalized person. Um, I was in a class in grad school where like we were talking about cancel culture, and I was like, I had like a not an argument with the teacher, but I was like kind of pushing back on the teacher because I was like, all the examples we've talked about here have been like right wingers, uh, but like you can't if you're Palestinian, you might like if you're Palestinian and you go to speak on a college campus, you might just find out like the day before that your speech isn't happening. That is the thing that I've heard has happened. Like it's that bad. Um, and I feel like some of the talk about free speech is sometimes disingenuous because of that. And
Yeah,
you know,
the people who are loudest about it are the people who feel most entitled to it.
yeah, um,
Like, white men feel very entitled to being able to speak at all times, right?
hmm,
And like, maybe we should be more entitled. Maybe that's the play. But like, hey, that's how you get. Listen, the louder you are, that's a bigger target on your back.
yeah. It's
because
hard.
I had like a soft disagreement with somebody because we were talking about like we should probably start carrying. We should probably have guns. I'm like, no, 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 no. You don't
Mhm.
understand. We don't have a Second Amendment right. If you start carrying a gun, you will be shot by police. That is an
Mhm.
amazing excuse for officers to kill you because you don't have the right to bear arms. White men do.
Yeah, it's it's like that. My opinion on guns is complicated. I have mixed feelings on it.
Yeah,
But
no, it's like if I could own a gun, I would because
mhm.
that would at the very like I own a knife for like the same reason. I know ultimately having it increases the possibility of it being used and increasing the chance of violence just
Yeah.
fundamentally with how it exists, but like the chance of violence is already there. At a
Mhm.
certain point, you do have to respond. You can't just be a pacifist to death because you have to live.
Right. Yeah. It's tricky. It's fucking rough out there. How do you feel about how do you feel about how do you feel talking about more RPG stuff?
Yeah, let's talk
Yeah,
about more.
we can move it back to RPGs.
We'll get
We will
back on the
get
trans
yeah.
misogyny when we get around to the Lady Emily story.
Shit's gonna get heavy. We picked some heavy news today. Some of it not even related to RPGs, only tangentially so, because we just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, Steve. This wasn't very.
what
Sorry, Steve, my publisher. This is a little heavy politically. I'm kind of saying
um
controversial shit.
what tell me about games, upcoming games, existing games, uh games from the deep past that you're like excited about or thrilled by or enjoying now.
Well, I mean, obviously, Lancer. Lancer's just like the game that I'm most obsessed with right now.
Mhm.
Celestial Bodies, I played
Oh
recently,
yeah.
and I was pretty into. It only had like a few issues, but I think that was more with the fact of the way that it was homebrewed than the actual game itself. I really do like the physical, like the manifestation of like needing to physically like attache case your inventory into a limited squares
Mhm.
is super cool, and I love the physicality of it. It's a really good way of gamifying what I like in Armor Core, which is managing your weight and energy use.
Yeah.
It can be a little complicated to get into, but it's a really well put together game. The art for it is really beautiful. And the Celestial Games Discord, they're always looking for people. The Binary Star Games Discord, yeah, that's they also have like an Apocalypse Frame game which I want to try,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's
but
kind of
yeah, I've been
funny.
no,
Um
you go ahead.
it's kind of funny because like I was making a somewhat like aesthetically similar game, or not like aesthetically, but like Autopsy Feast has a similar mechanic, I guess I would say,
Yeah.
where it's like a grid. But what they're doing with it is like so much cooler. um, I'm like a little jealous, but also very impressed with that and excited to play that at
Yeah,
some point.
it's the cultural zeitgeist leaking into everybody's brains, and some people jump on it faster than others.
Yeah, we all got grids and blobs on our brain.
We all got grits and blobs on our brains. Listen, it was Armor Core's ruined everyone's brains a little bit because
Yeah,
I remember I went a month without playing, or no, Armor Core came out, and then we tried playing Lancer that week, and everybody was so brain dead because we'd been doing nothing but playing fucking Armor Core.
that's so
Um,
funny.
But I've been falling off Lancer a little bit. I still run a West March server. God, I do so many things. Sorry. Uh, a West March server that I run. I don't really run any games right now. I'm gonna be doing that in the summer. But like I've been falling off Lancer just because, um, for reasons because of the Wizard of the Coast. Because one of the writers did Magic cards because of a non-competition clause. One of the writers
Right.
can't work on Lancer stuff. So what they're doing is really cool, but has led to things I don't terribly like. They're taking third-party creators and they're letting them make first-party stuff. It's the
Oh,
third-party,
interesting.
first-party books. And the problem I have with it, um, is that it's been janky so far, and
Mm.
there's been kind of an expectation. Like, maybe this is just me putting this on myself. This is just something I've enforced on myself. There's been like this weird. I had this feeling or expectation that I had to allow all core content,
Oh yeah.
but here's the thing. I'll just say it. I don't like Dustgrave. You're not going to know what that is, but Dustgrave I feel like is one of the most jankily written. Like, I really, I don't think it's poorly written in the sense that it wasn't thought out. I think the problem is that when in the pursuit of making certain mechanics work, they found a lot of really inelegant solutions
Mm.
that aren't easy to consume and play with unless you are familiar with the game, to the extent and amount that the folks at Interpoint might be. Interpoint being a really popular Westmarch group, like thousands of people on that server. They run
Damn.
like 50 games a week. It's crazy. They Twitch stream it, and like I also just don't respect how Ralph treats NHPs and their media, and I think
Right.
that's fine. Like he has a different philosophy on how they should function in the narrative, and I think that's emblematic of how the two writers of Lancer also viewed NHPs. I think uh, Miguel was more of the lines of like, yeah, NHP liberation now. This is fucked up, and maybe I this is secondhand, but Tom was more of the like, oh yeah, these are really cool machine god code stuff, you know, and like how
Yeah.
those two approaches create two different outlooks on it. Um, and in general, I think Ralph's community can be really toxic, and I know that it's poorly moderated. It might be better moderated now, but this is just my understanding of it,
Hmm.
and it it creates this chilling effect around everybody of like this massive community of people who are ultimately kind of toxic, who get a first party release out there that's really janky, but everybody kind of wants you to play it. That's
Right.
kind of the pressure I was under as a Westmarch user. I felt bad putting a ban on it, being
Yeah,
like,
that's
no,
tricky.
nobody plays with Dustgrave, but like I do feel strongly about the mechanical choices and the way that they handle Lancer balance. We're just of two completely different philosophies, and I'm being really respectful, but I don't imagine that Ralph would be that respectful of me because of the way that I've seen how he handles criticism,
Right.
um, which just pisses me off. But like, here's the thing: again, I'm a trans woman. I have to be respectful and nice. Ralph can say whatever the fuck he wants and get away with it. Sorry, I'm being less nice now, but like I once did a paid game that I advertised through Pnet, and I got shit for it because they're like, "Oh,
Jesus.
you're recording it and putting it up on your YouTube, which is you should pay them because they're actors." And I'm like, "No." And
Yeah.
also, Ralph makes a shit ton of money off of the West March games that go up on Twitch and patrons and shit. Like, I am not doing anything that has not already been done by one of the most popular white guys up there. Okay, like fucking
Right.
please. But
Yeah. And your stuff is just for archival for the most part,
yeah,
is my
it's
understanding.
mostly archival. Like I don't make any fucking money off of this. I was
Hmm.
only making money off of the players who are paying me to be there. Like I'm a content creator in the sense that I put content out there. I'm not
Right.
that popular. My most popular videos are my pilot's manual, which are like Lancer tutorial videos. And even those, they're like a blip on the map, you know, especially
Yeah.
compared to like Ralph. It,
Yeah.
it's it's like what you said before. I was more accessible to bully about it, you know.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
It's like the most disappointed I'd ever been in the community. It was just like really, this is where I'm getting shit now.
Yeah, Lancer seems. I feel like I need to like either someone needs to like rope me into a Lancer thing or like it's a train that I'm gonna miss. I feel like at this point, you know how it is sometimes.
I know exactly how it is.
Yeah. I feel that way about like fucking Cyberpunk or whatever. I mean, also I don't really like the way that Cyberpunk is designed, but yeah.
Yeah, don't mention Cyberpunk. Lewis gonna lose your shit.
Oh, I guess Heart also. I never really got into like Heart or the Spire, um, or whatever that one is called. Um,
I am not familiar with it at all because I was just on D&D 5e for years, and
yeah,
that's all I
same
wrote.
here. I did a lot of
I
D&D
was big
5e.
into D&D 5e homebrew. That's the one benefit of playing D&D 5e. You are forced to learn how to become a game designer because the game itself isn't designed.
The game sucks
It's like a
ass.
gunpla kit of a fucking tabletop game.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Um, yeah. Uh, we can probably move on to news if you want to.
Yeah, yeah, check out Lancer, check out Celestial Bodies, check out Sapphic World,
Check out Euphoria 2180 when it's out.
check out Euphoria 2180. God damn, what a we just finished that campaign,
Yeah, it was a good
that
time.
that playtest campaign. Man, oh man. I feel like there's one more thing. Um, oh, I feel like there's one more thing that I
Uh,
would.
I
Fist
don't
is
know.
cool. Claymore's cool. Gu, 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 Gunbat Banwa.
Guap Anwa, yeah.
Gunbat Banwa. Yeah, yeah, that's really really cool. I feel like none of these things need shoutouts from me. I think they're pretty well popular at this point.
That's fair. That it's still fair to say like this
Yeah,
looks
check
cool
out
to me.
Blades in the Dark. Check out this not well known
This
Blades in the
wacky little
Dark game.
game called Blades in the
Yeah.
Dark. I quite like Blades in the Dark. I think it's a good game. Um,
I recently got a Forge in the Dark magical girl game that I want to read through.
ooh,
Like
fun.
Moonlight, I think is what it's called.
Oh, fucking, something by Moonlight. I think I'm gonna interview that. Well, I think I reached out to that person. I don't think they ever. Well, I shouldn't say that. I need to follow up with that person more. Is I guess.
Yeah, dude, if you get them, I'll be here and I'll be like, I bought it from a store. Smiles.
Yeah. Um. Hell yeah. Cool. So, let's uh, let's get let's get into the news. I almost
Bring that news
fucking
bird up.
did the. I almost fucking did the Keemstar thing. I'm gonna. I'm gonna just.
Let's get right
No,
into the
don't.
news.
Oh god. I do not want his attention in any way, shape, or form. Like, holy shit.
No,
But yeah,
no. We if we say his name 3 times, he fucking appears.
Foom. Oh wait, shit, I fucked it up. Hang on. I didn't, it was, the bird wasn't visible. Foom.
Whoa,
Pshoom.
back from the peaceful world,
Back from Love World, back from the world where there's no violence and no death and no hatred.
not from gunplay.
Not from gunplay. From a world of love and peace for all to enjoy. Um, yeah. Let's do the news. So, news this week is interesting. Something really big happened uh today that we are not prepared to talk about. So the oh god. Oh god, I'm forgetting the name of the person right now. Hang
There
on.
is
Uh
there's trans woman who their legacy the doing the dungeon.
yes. Jack Hazing the Dungeon. We will not be talking about Jack Hazing the Dungeon today. That will be with Wendy Ribston next
Hey,
week.
listen, same thesis from before. Trans women can't have shit.
Trans women can't have shit even when they are dead, unfortunately. But if you don't know what we're talking about, come back next week, or if you're watching this as a VOD right before the Wendy Ripston episode,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
this is a really good pre-show for the Wendy one. We're foreshadowing.
we're foreshadowing. So get ready for that. However, our focus is on our first story is on a kind of mixed. Actually, I guess first one's Daniel Fox, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Fox
Uh,
Fiasco is that's the first
yes.
one.
Let me get that in a. Why do I not have? Hang on, I want the Nala Woo. Uh, by the way,
The
Nala.
first one.
We'll actually. Hang on, yeah, here we go. Uh, there we are. Sorry, I fucked up my order here on my on my windows on my tabs. There we go. Okay. We're going to be starting with Nalawu, who, by the way, I met at PAX U and who was very, very nice.
Oh, cool.
Nala posts a thread about, so this is Eldritch Automata by Gehenna Gaming, um, which is a their first original TTRPG. Um, Look at the Kickstarter, I suppose. Um,
Yeah,
Action horror tabletop role playing game. Looks interesting.
like
Um,
the art's good.
The art's good. I like the style here. This is cool.
It's
Um,
cashing in on the mecha craze, but it's also doing like the Lovecraft stuff because Lovecraft will always be popular to dig into.
yeah. And previously, I guess Daniel Fox was on this list. Now you might not know. Oh, Austin Ramsey's awesome. Hell yeah, Austin Ramsey's cool. Austin Ramsey was very nice to me when I was in college. I was doing a beat on TTRPGs for one of my classes, and was very happy to talk about Beam Saber with me, which was awesome. Um, but anyways, so this is here, and Nala identifies, hey, um, Daniel Fox, DF, why the fuck is he on here? Um, Now, Nala goes into some stuff about this. I think a big element of this is this thread by Comrade Ishmael, who uh, who highlights a couple of key little bits and pieces from Zweihander. Um, for
It's a
example,
long ass thread.
yeah, a couple of examples. Gnomes are gifted, however, with a singular expertise in tinkering. This insight is likely inspired by the spark their elven ancestors squirted into the bellies of dwarven mothers who gave birth to the first gnomes. But don't say it to their face. You're likely to plunge them into a tirade of misery, self-loathing, and abhorrence for all that is fair or acceptable, short-sighted as they are. Um, Also, some like perk names. There's Demi Humanity, a perk called Manifest Destiny, a perk called Noble Savage,
Yeah,
and a
like
perk and a
you're
perk
not
called
even
a word that I
subtle.
am not going to say, because it's literally like you're not supposed to use that word. Um, Even the people in that culture are not supposed to use that word. That's why you're not supposed to use that word. Um, there's also a
It's
lot of like South American type stuff going on here that really fucking sucks. Um,
it is a modge podge of caricature, racial stereotypes, and well documented dog whistles. It's more than obvious. Like,
hmm.
I don't really know how old Daniel Fox was when they wrote this, but it's like, man, Gary Gygax reincarnated.
Yeah, no, that's
It's
real.
it's it's just an exhausting read through of just what if the D&D racial essentialism was written by like an edgy 15-year-old
Yeah, telling
is how
marginalized
it
people
always
to ignore
read to me.
harassment. Fucking native passing white. Uh, when Dia complained about Zweihander. Um, uh, Fucking was into NFTs for a bit. Um, uh, Made some. I guess he had his like his own custom like Warhammer stuff that sucked even worse than the default. Um,
I mean, Zweihander's just a
just
fucking rogue trader hack anyways.
Yeah, everybody fucking hates this dude, and for some reason, Gehenna Gaming decided to hire him. The explanation that he was rude to POC Gamer, uh, it just keeps going. Like it just keeps going. Um,
And I'd like to say, because this feels moderately important to like clarify. On one hand, I don't think Daniel Fox should not be allowed to work in the industry if he got better, if he wasn't just a massive piece of shit, but there's never been any indication he's ever been better.
right, he
And
has no intent to
it's like
change.
I like because I like to emphasize like the idea of like like reform and not really because I don't want this to feel like oh we're punishing them or whatever. This isn't
Mhm.
like out for revenge thing. It's just they're still actively a piece of shit. It's really not like if Daniel Fox came out as Danielle Fox
Right.
and we fixed her, guys. If we could fix her, then she could write Mecha.
Yeah. So this is Nick, the lead designer of Eldritch Automata. Um, Basically, in here he goes into the saying that like this was like a pre. This was basically before like the formalization of everything. It was paid out of pocket, not from the Kickstarter. Um, and this was a 1,000 word entry on one of the in-game factions. They are reconceptualizing, rewriting this, and Gehenna Gaming removed him. Um, Nala asks about hiring practices, which I think is very fair. Uh, and yeah, what
I
a
I
mess.
feel like they had to know, but they just kind of assumed that they could get away with it. That's just
Yeah,
I don't know how corporate Gehenna Gaming is, but like the default is if you can get somebody, if you can if you can get away with it, they would have. If nobody pointed it out, that they would have just done it,
they were
and it
just
would be
praying
published.
that like someone with like Nala's like scope or they were like if they're like okay we don't we were here's the deal. I don't think one person is going to have the guts to say anything about this with enough power to make us do anything about it. And then like a pretty well liked TTRPG artist was like, "Hey, fuck you."
Yeah, Nala with the steel fucking chair. Thank God.
Yeah, good.
But like, and that's just it. There is no real cancel culture of Daniel Fox. Daniel Fox is clearly not canceled. Daniel Fox has connections in the industry that will always get him work. Like he doesn't have to change. There's no real incentive for him.
Yeah. Um. Hey, you want to talk about another person who's been disincentivized to change?
Yeah, sure.
Um. So, this is not RPGs. However, I think it's important, so we're going to talk about it. Uh, and I think it relates to RPGs, and I think it relates to things that we're specifically talking about in this episode. Uh, we decided for our
It
second news
rhymes.
story, it rhymes, to talk about the Lady Emily situation. Um, so, for those who don't know, Emily, a co-writer for Sarah Z, also has her own channel where she made some really good stuff, including a lot of
Yeah,
video essays
I'm
on
a big
Nostalgia
fan.
Critic, and I believe the Transformers movie, the like the big one,
Yeah.
the like animated one. Um, she oh wait, hang on, this is the wrong order. This one. Um, I'll just read it. Scrolling through Reddit and seeing dozens of comments calling the popular YouTuber who sexually harassed you for several months last year a wholesome being with only green flags. Fuck it, just to get it off my chest. Last year, Chugga Conroy kept trying to get me to initiate erotic foot fetish roleplay with him, while he also had a girlfriend. This included sending she's to my house under the guise of a gift, only to constantly ask for feet pics afterwards. Um, she shows some receipts, uh, and yeah, goes really in depth on it. Keeps going, explains a lot of this. I'm not gonna show the comments. You can literally see like my auto blocker for blue checks is like firing on all
Oh, going
cylinders.
crazy. Yeah, I've seen the blue checks in this fucking in these threads, and it's bad.
Yeah, so there a lot of people started being like, "Oh, but you never said no. You never said no directly to him." While in a lot of these, she stopped messaging him like, "This is fucking. I missed you. Are you doing better? Blah blarkin. Hey, I hope I'm not like this is very like after what he did. This is very uncomfortable behavior. Um,
Yeah,
because
it's I've been in this situation before, but the difference was when I was put in the situation, the person who did it to me was a nobody who I could block,
mhm.
not a famous YouTuber who's bigger than me who could make my life a living hell.
Yeah. Good. Glad we understand each other. Walks up behind you and trips you with some fancy footwork. You thud to the ground and I yank her sneakers off in an instant. Haha, loser, chucks them at you. You should not even be doing roleplay italics unless the person is like enthusiastically reciprocating. Especially not kink shit. And especially not like veiled kink shit that you only admit as fetish before or after. Literally he sent her shoes. Um uh he sent her
And
shoes as a gift, which is like
and that
fucking
and that just
creepy.
creates it's just like a dynamic of like you owe me.
Mhm.
Like that's what the dynamic it creates. And people are like, "Oh, but he gave you an out." Again, the power dynamics in this situation make it difficult for Lady Emily at the time to say no. Like there are situations in which it is simply easier to deal with it and just wait until it's over. As somebody who has been in situations like this, it's simply easier to just hope they fucking forget that you exist
Yeah,
eventually.
and there's like a
Just
power
just
balance here that's like fucking like his audience is like 10 times the size of her audience in terms of like just raw like YouTube numbers. It's fucked up.
and
Um,
you can and there's like
and he's been around for like 2 decades almost.
and
Um,
people in the comment sections are being ableist because every time it comes to trans women, it's ableism immediately because you know
yeah,
you're medically deformed or you're mentally ill. This is X Y. It's like come on, come on. I don't even understand how people don't hear themselves when they say it, and it's because they just don't give a shit about the humanity of a trans woman. That's just the only rational explanation of my mind.
yeah. Um,
Like, I hope Chugga Conroy stops doing this, and apparently did it to multiple women. Like, that's
right.
another thing. It more than one woman was initiated into this weird, uncomfortable, pseudo erotic role play scenario. Like, it feels blatantly kind of like self indulgent at at best self indulgent.
Yeah. Um, you have this thing here where it's like, uh, he's asking about it, and then she just says, "No, no, I'm glad to know. Good to have that openness and common understanding." And then, like, that's 9:13, and then 9:14 we have more, and it's like, people are like, "Oh, that's proof that she consented." Uh, I don't think people understand how consent works. Like fundamentally, I think a lot of people do not understand how consent works. It has to be
Yeah,
enthusiastic.
it's like a hesitant like haha
Haha.
like it's the kind of yes you give when you hope somebody eventually leaves you alone because you're not being enthusiastic.
Yeah.
It's hoping that they read the fucking room and just leave you the hell alone, but they just never do because they know that they can steamroll you.
Uh, would you like to pick up where we left off last night? Ha ha ha. It dropped off suddenly. Is not a thing that you say to someone who is not enthusiastically consenting to what you're doing. That's it's fucked up that people think this is okay. Uh,
Like it's an amount of social literacy that I think is just above the heads of some folks on Twitter. I guess it's just like lonely fucking Goomba.
fuck you, Lonely
Fuck you in
Goomba.
particular.
Die. Don't harass people. But yeah. Um, so the reason why like you brought this up, and I thought it was a great thing to bring up to the show, um, is that I think it makes it it kind of makes you like it reminds me a lot of like the RPG space where you have like a lot of the like something when I was hanging out with Jay at PAX, like one of the things that she said was like, this is this is an old man's game, right? Like this is a I mean not necessarily that, but like RPGs are for the old, and like especially old white men, especially like grognards, right? Um,
Yeah.
and I think like it's hard to think about like how do we protect ourselves and each other in when this is the environment around this sort of abuse. And I don't necessarily know what the answer is. I think it's really, really hard and really scary. Um, and I guess the best we can do is take care of each other.
Yeah. Well, because it really is that dividing line of like the younger and older generations of tabletop players. And I do physical games at Origins. I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
doing another set of games coming June. And like the folks who play it are like upper 30 40s, like, you know, white guys. Like that's they're like really nice and they really enjoy the game, but like like the overall queer themes of Hell is Full go over their head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I don't know, in my head it was really obvious, but then like getting that perspective on it was of like how it can go over some people's heads was I guess important for me to like see, and it also made me want to be less subtle when I'm writing gunplay.
Yeah, That's good.
But I feel this too again in like Peanut, where it's like 99% of the really cool, interesting homebrewers are trans women.
Hmm.
But like the most popular one is Ralph, right? And
Right.
it's probably like a time and place thing, but like it just there's always the back of my mind that like question of like if I acted how I sometimes see Ralph act or how sometimes I see Ralph output, would I be would people give me the time of day or would I get torn apart? Because people can be
Yeah.
really fucking harsh in those homebrew critique areas, and it can be really fucking discouraging. And I've
Yeah.
talked to this with other homebrew creators in length about how discouraging the homebrew spaces on Peanut can be. Um, but it, there's just that overall feeling of like a lack of leniency that I feel like you've talked about before, Eclipse,
Yeah.
where it's like a trans woman will make one mistake in like a queer space and they're disposable. They're gone.
You're gone. Yeah.
You're always going to be the disposable queer. If at any point it becomes inconvenient for trans women to still be in this queer space, we will remove you.
Yeah. I also think about like so like Chugga and Emily are like separated by like I would say like let's say 15 20 years of popularity. Um that's like comparable to like if like one of I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to like imply that any of these people are bad because everything that I've heard of these people is like they're fantastic. Any of your like Google Plus darlings, um, the kind of like late 2010 or late 2000s, early 2010s RPG people. Like, what if they started like like what would the reaction from like the online TTRPG space be if they like were like openly harassing like a modern trans woman indie darling? Um, and I just like I don't know. I feel like it's scary because like these people get this wall of defense built around them, uh, and it does really silence things and it makes things really scary.
Especially in the internet age, because your creators are branded.
Hmm.
Like the person who is creating the game is ultimately as much a product as the game itself, right?
Yeah,
Access to the creator of an indie game and like their personality, they are effectively profit. It's the profit incentive is the biggest thing that gives them those safety nets because people need them to keep existing in order for them to keep making money, right?
yeah,
Which is just coming at it from like an angle of like a reading on how capital can affect and protect these people, and money does pool up with you know like white guys because of historical socioeconomic realities. Like I just wouldn't want to go without acknowledging the fact that it's definitely like finances and the way that profit incentives work. Because I feel like if we don't acknowledge it, people are going to look at it like, oh no, it's just the necessary evil of capital. Because there's never been a better way of organizing ourselves, like in terms of economically.
yeah.
Uh, This I love intersectionality because it's such a useful way of discussing these sorts of things, but
It
also,
is.
god damn it, it makes it bloated sometimes to just be
Yeah,
because
it's
somebody
complicated.
will always find the one road that they can use to say no, it's not that bad because this factor exists. It's like no, 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 no. None of these are like mutually exclusive. All of these factors exist simultaneously. We live in a complicated world with no easy or simple solutions. The world is
Yeah,
inherently complicated, and the true silver bullet for helping anybody come to terms with this is to just convince them that the world is complicated.
yeah,
And I feel like folks who live simple lives because they exist in positions of privilege within the complicated world because of complicated reasons, they get defensive of their simple worldview.
yeah. No, absolutely. Um, Speaking of a complicated world, um, do you wanna talk about the strike and then we'll take a break?
Yes, let's talk about the strike, baby. Strike,
So
baby.
I have opinions about this. That I want to like. I guess I think it would be. I think it'd be productive for me to get this stuff out flat to start, and then we can go into like actually talking about like the humanitarian crisis. Um, I I have mixed feelings about the usefulness of this strike, and I the reason why I'm choosing to do it is in solidarity. I like I think so. Well, hang on. I should definitely have the name. Uh, the journalist who called for the strike. Uh, I don't know if anyone knows the name. I'm sorry, everyone. Um, I can probably figure it out. Hang on. Um, I really should have written this person's name down. Uh, bu- 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 Basan. That's right.
Yeah, I was about to say it's actually in the Dovecote notes.
Oh, I'm dumb. Okay. Yeah. So Basan called for this strike, and like I totally understand why. Like, if you were in a situation where you are seeing constant, crimes against humanity, the destruction of every hospital in Gaza, um, the annihilation of houses, every safe zone, every place that they say is a safe zone, then it gets bombed. Like, I totally get like that is a situation in which like what is the one thing you can do? Use social media and say, hey, I'm calling for this action on these dates. Um, that is like totally understandable to me, and like I think that creates a complicated situation for the listening world because it says it it's it's not an organized strike, right? It is a called strike. It is a strike that if you're able to, if it is possible for you to do, it is very easy for me to strike in this way, which is why I'm doing it. Um, but like striking should not be a personal choice. Striking should be something that's supported by institutions, and this is not a strike
Yeah,
that's
well,
supported by
Jinx.
institutions. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, Jinx. We both said institutions.
Yeah. Um, and so like I think it's important to acknowledge that like this is a this is the thing that a lot of like you're gonna see a lot of freelancers and streamers and such doing this because it is something that is like easier for us to do. But if you have a 9 to 5, this is a very very difficult thing to do because you don't have support legally or financially or materially. It's winter, it's cold. Um, I think that it's really important that if you're a person who feels very strongly about this strike, that you understand understand why some people might not be able to participate in it, while also being aware of the reasons for the strike and like thinking about ways that like we could organize strikes in this way, right? Um, because it is a you know it's a it's a call. I so elements of the strike. Talk about this really quick. Um, no work, be visible. Um, visibly in support of Palestine. Don't buy stuff. No flow of commerce. Let the world know. Talk to the media. Talk to media about the strike. Post about it online. Avoid avoid leisure activities that require money. To be clear, you can still relax. Help each other. Take care of others. Ask unions for help. See that this is like unions should be organizing these things. I hate to be like you should do these things in solidarity, but also I do disagree with them on some level. But also I need to be like honest about my views on this. Shut social media down. I think this is good. Use social media only to spread posts about Palestine. Um, and yeah, I've tried to focus as much as possible on Palestine stuff, but I still also um, I think that there are a lot of other meaningful things to talk about. And I'm focusing on Palestine, but and then whatever you do, it counts. Yeah, I think I don't really like these sort of infograph focused strikes, but I also understand why they happen. And
It's yeah,
yeah.
it's Instagram advocacy.
Hmm.
It's like it's spreadable. Like I it's but there's no real power behind it. Like if we want to it feels like unintuitive at first, but like the real thing we need to do is focus on smaller local politics. Like you need to
Hmm.
locally organize with your union. You need to like locally focus. Like everybody wants to do something, but everybody wants to do something on a global scale or like on like a countrywide scale. The thing is that the United States is way too big and unwieldy to really do that. You need to organize with your local chapters of like the Democratic Socialists of America or your local unions, which can be really difficult because there are a lot of places that don't have unions like that. Like that's like the thing. Like systemically speaking, um, the power to do something has been routinely stripped from us.
Hmm.
And now that we're in the situation where we want to do something, the only thing that we can think to do, because it's the only avenue that exists, is post on social media.
Right.
Like we need to like rebuild the structures that were destroyed in like shot in the dark like Reagan era politics.
Yeah, I mean, ideally earlier, because I mean, Reagan fucked it all up, right? Like, um,
Reagan absolutely stirred our shit up.
yeah. I'm going to recommend an actual material thing that you can do is buy Gaza eSIMs, or send eSIMs to Gaza, which let them, basically give them like data access, which is really, really crucial for them, like literally showing you the images of the genocide and constant massacres that are happening in Palestine. That is a material thing that you can do. In terms of RPGs, I want to point towards Claymore, who made Fist, um, doing free games all week, which I think is uh, neat. I think that's a good idea. I think that's like uh, I think it's really cool. Like I think that's great. Um, and I think disrupting business as usual is good, where it's able to be done. But I do think that there needs to be infrastructure for striking if we're going to be talking about it like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's way too free form. You know, it's way too disconnected. We have been alienated so fucking thoroughly that there is no actual power for us to push behind. You know,
Yeah.
all we
Um,
could do is beg,
yeah,
and
it's rough.
if if history is of any teacher, then the UN is unlikely to do anything. There have been multiple genocides that have happened on the UN's watch that they just sat by and just let happen. The Rwandan genocide, the Bosnian genocide, genocides that happened even before the construction of the UN. And there's no real material impact of the UN on these things. They don't do anything. So if they and it's frustrating because there theoretically exist systems that should be used for justice in these situations,
Yeah.
but they have been either co-opted or were never actually intended to work. Like the most cynical interpretation of the UN is it was made so that you could say that this system exists, this like system that's like irredeemably flawed and will never actually work. It's like this system already exists. We don't need to make a new system. We just need to fix this one. But the point of it is to be broken. The point of it
Yeah.
is to exist so better systems don't. It's
It
similar
protects
to like
evil.
what yeah, it's that's like the very cynical view of it. They're very similar to like those really shitty cigarette ads that
Yeah.
don't actually do anything. They exist so that better ones don't by flooding the airspace with just things that are ineffective. That's kind of what the UN feels like to me. It's what you know, like, and America has so vehemently been Zionist for so long. I I don't know what it would even look like for for us to successfully disrupt this,
Yeah,
other than if we were to focus on the local politics and local group action and local power building, and it just I don't see it so far. And it's also just a matter of like time. I have to spend so much time just trying to survive, to make
yeah,
money, to live. I'm I'm flat broke. It's really hard for me to help with this entire situation because I I have to live, right?
yeah.
Like
It's hard.
I want to do more, but I can't. And that's kind of the state of what I imagine a lot of folks are stuck in. This kind of resignation to the birdcage, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say I'm resigned to it. I'm just a cynical person by default, I
I,
suppose.
I think like I was actually talking about to Wendy about this earlier. I think like something a conclusion that we came to that I think is useful is like people feel powerless in this. People are watching terrible, terrible things be inflicted by the Israeli state with U.S. support, and they are they're forced to make a decision. They're forced to somehow make themselves feel better, and the ways that people do it is they either engage in these sorts of solidarity strikes, and preach to others about it, um, and focus on that, or they become Zionists. They just decide actually these people deserve it. Um, and I do think that like one really important thing that you can do, whether you were Jewish or otherwise, is if you have people in your life who you believe would be open to the possibility that the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank are human, and that they deserve uh, human rights, that they deserve safety, that they deserve food and clean water, and homes that are safe, and days that are safe and nights that are safe. You should tell them. You should show them what's happening. You should make sure that they know. Because like that is the every like Palestinian intellectual and thinker and poet and journalist has said, you know, we don't know if this thing can be stopped. Uh, maybe it can, maybe it can't. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that like these stories are told, that people know what happened, that you know that it's not that they're not made invisible by this. And
Yeah.
it's not any grand victory. It's a fucking devastating defeat. It's fucking awful. It's horrible. I've been I like every time I think about it, I feel fucking sick to my stomach. But like it is something. It is something that you can do. Um, yeah, it's brutal, and
It's
it's only
yeah.
gotten worse throughout the last couple months, and I think we're really reaching a like the fucking like you know the the flames are licking at the are licking at their feet as they're being lowered into the pit, right?
And I mean, you can't really give human rights to a dead body.
Right. Yeah. Um. But yeah, I guess do what you can. Uh, make sure the people around you know. Like, I have to say, I was really fucking. I've been really proud of a lot of the people in my spaces. I think like really have been really well meaning and like but both well meaning and like have been acting in ways that I really approve of and really focused on Palestine this week. Um, and like this if this can't be a strike, and I think this cannot be a strike, like just by nature of the world that we live in, I hope that it can at least be a week where we talk about Palestine, and then we focus on Palestine, and that we um We give light to the human lives that are being lost and destroyed and irreparably damaged in Palestine. Um, and yeah, I'm sorry. I just I feel very strongly about this, and I think that people
I
should.
no, I mean
Yeah,
that's like the biggest thing I think that anybody should take away from this, even if they can't do anything materially. Just please give a shit, you know?
yeah. Like feeling bad doesn't help anything, but feeling bad and then saying something about it does at least let another person know, or even like the people of Palestine know. If you're able to reach out, or like I think the people of Palestine should feel and know that the world is watching and that we care um and that we give a shit, as Six said. Um, and like that's the bare minimum. And then anything beyond that, you know, um, I I really hope like I think the striking is really hopeful because I think like the idea behind doing a strike in favor of Palestine is a great idea. Um,
Yeah.
and I really hope that there's organization for that. I hope that like unions get involved in that because like that would be really
I
powerful.
do hope yeah, I'd really want local organizations to take the idea and begin running with it themselves, but again, like it's whether or not those local organizations exist.
Yeah. Uh, do you want to let's take like 5 to cool down because
Yeah.
I gotta like walk up. I gotta like stand up and walk around for a little bit. Um, and then we'll be back with fucking emails.
Yes, 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 I suppose so.
All right. See y'all in a bit.
Oh wait, weren't we gonna talk about the Critical Role Wendy's thing?
Oh right, shit. Okay. Fuck. We gotta talk about that. Hang on. This is a very small thing.
It's connected to what we were talking about.
It is a bit lighter, although it's still fucking. It still makes me want to fucking vomit.
I got a pretty simple opinion on Critical Role, and is that I don't fucking I don't fucking trust Critical Role as far as I can throw them.
So Critical Role's current setting of Marquette is based on Palestine, and so Critical Role's Twitter mentions are just full of people being like, "Hey, when the fuck are you people guys going to talk about Palestine?" And it's really complicated because Critical Role has a show on Amazon. Amazon is a big, like, Israel connected company, um, and so there's this whole thread on it. It's very interesting.
It is an incredibly potent example about how capital harangues one's ability to actually do social justice once you have the only measure of power in capital, which is money. They have a
Yeah,
lot of money. They have their own little charity organization as well that they advertise at the beginning of all their episodes. That I charity is a complicated subject, but I kind of hate charity on principle of the fact that it should not be the only way that anything fucking happens.
right. No, I
It
agree.
is a failure of our system that charity exists in the way it does, and how much it benefits the wealthy for charity to exist in the way it does, tax wise. It immediately frustrates me how like ineffectual it feels. And in a situation like this where they are again profiting from imagery and ideas and cultural concepts of Palestine with their Critical Role, their fucking Wendy's sponsored Critical Role campaign or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Oh God, I fucking hate popular fucking live plays. I I have a lot of respect for like the work ethic that is required for Matt Mercer to do all that he does. I think
Yeah.
he does a lot of really a lot of brilliant. He does a lot of work, is what I'll say.
Right.
But like fucking holy shit, and like the fact that like we have to beg these e celebs to do something is so humiliating.
Can I give a really
Like,
cynical opinion about this?
please go. I love cynicism.
So I think that the dynamic that I think honestly I think the dynamic that like dropout people have with like dropout fans have with like the dropout cast that uh that fucking that Critical Role fans have with the Critical Role cast that like what's the other big one? Adventure Zone, like the relationship they have with
The
Macro Brothers.
McElroys.
It's really toxic. Um
It's really
It's
fucking
it's
parasocial.
kind of good though in some it's good in like cases like this because it's like they know that they have like a vicinity, or they have a sense they have a vicinity of these people, and it is really funny. It is really funny, like seeing like looking at any Critical Role tweet and all the comments are just like talk about Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine. Like it's good. I actually like that. I think that like if I have one good thing to say about the Critical Role fandom, and I do not have many good things to say about the Critical Role fandom, it is that they put a lot of pressure on Critical Role to do shit in a way that like no other fandom would be as bold and like one like single direction with, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I that is good. That they give a shit, and that's really good.
Yeah,
As much as I despise Critical Role as like a function of Wizards of the Coast and other like really large corporations, and that sort of like faux liberal aesthetic, I guess. But
yeah,
that's good. Please do talk about Palestine, though.
it's good.
You,
Talk about Palestine. Talk about the allegations. Um,
uh,
yeah. Well, let's take a break and we'll get to the mail.
yeah, I
Um,
got some hot dogs to eat. Yummy, yummy,
Go eat
yummy.
hot dog. All right. See y'all in 5 minutes. Bye bye. Oh shit! Wait, wrong thing. This thing. Hello, and we are back with the DOVECOTE. We've all calmed down. I threw a, I threw a huge, uh, I threw a sword through my wall. It's
I
in there
throated
now.
3 glizzies.
Threw three fat, nasty glizzies. Um, and it's time for our
Kosher
mail.
too.
Damn kosher, ordained by God,
Like, oh
by God,
my god.
my God. Okay.
Like, why is that guy so low?
Uh, Apocrypha just likes to hang out there.
Put him on my head.
Let me see if I can. The layering might not be right for that, but let me see what I can do about that. How's that?
Yay!
Awesome.
I'm having such a good time.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we got some questions. Let me just there's a couple of them. Right, okay, so the last two questions of this goblin email we're gonna answer. Um, the first question, which was question 5 of this email, or actually no, sorry. Sorry, this is question. We're gonna do question 4, 5, and 6 from this email. These are all about
All right, yeah.
furries, all about furry
Oh,
RPGs, furries and RPGs. Uh,
wait. I don't have any fucking knowledge on that. I'm not a furry.
maybe I save these then.
Yeah, save those. Save those for somebody who
Okay.
actually knows anything.
Goblin, I'm saving your furry questions. In that case, we have one question. Uh, and that is from Lilith, from your beautiful girlfriend, beautiful goat
Oh,
girlfriend.
my
Folks,
beautiful girlfriend.
folks can also ask questions in Twitch chat. Please ask them in Twitch, just because that makes it easier for the VOD. Um, Otherwise, it looks like I'm talking to no one. Uh, just as a reminder, folks watching this, this is being streamed in Discord to a couple of folks. So the question is, what are the games that change your brain forever? Like you mentioned, Doomsday Dream Girl, but what are
Yeah.
others? Same goes for Eclipse.
Uh, okay. Doomsday Dreamgirl's the big one because it leaps out at me. It's more like it's a visual novel. It's a kinetic it's a kinetic book more than anything. It's not really a game, I suppose, in the traditional sense. But Armor Core definitely was big for me. I don't think it changed my brain. I think it just complemented what I already had going on. Ultra Kill. I'm a very big fan of Ultra Kill. Elden Ring. The Dishonored series.
Hmm.
Dishonored 1 and Dishonored Death of the Outsider are easily like my all-time favorite games. Um uh uh League of Legends ruined my life. I really
What's
like fighting games.
what's
Guilty
DD
Gear,
what's DDDG?
DDDG,
I don't know. Lilith said DDDG
Daddy Gone, Daddy
counts.
Girl.
That's awesome. That
Uh,
should be real.
yeah.
Any girls want to try that with me? Haha, smiles.
Hey, yo, send emails to Darling Eclipse. Fear and Hunger, I've been getting into.
Oh yeah.
Mostly looking at art of Samarina. Fear and Hunger
Oh, dude,
2.
did you roll? All right.
I did really like Fear and Hunger 1. Though I think about Fear and Hunger and I immediately think about the Super Eye Patch Wolf video that irked the fuck out of me because that motherfucker did it with Berserk as well, where they were really glib about the trigger warnings. And man,
Hmm.
it's really useful if you're just super specific about what trigger warnings we need to worry about here. Don't be glib about sexual assault, fucking please.
Yeah. TTRPGs also count. These don't have to be video games. Your
Oh,
wife
Baldur's
counts.
uh 2180 Euphoria a little
Oh yeah.
bit, but I definitely Sapphic World definitely like I was already sort of in it with Sapphic World, but I wasn't I didn't get comfortable being that being that much of a freak in a tabletop environment until I played Sapphic World.
I'm really glad.
Um yeah, no, it helped me open up. And I'm a very I'm kind of a slow going person. I like obviously I can talk really fast and I can really unload information at a quick pace, but I'm actually quite a shy person. I'm not very good with new people, and it takes me a minute to really get acclimated to others. Uh, and I'm experiencing that right now with the other Euphoria game, where just me being kind of shy is making it difficult for me to for me to talk sometimes. Just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and that it was really nice to step into a game and feel like I can open up like that, and to make friends with folks who get it.
Yeah. I feel that. I definitely think like I mean I think there was kind of like there was like a series of events that occurred like between uh I feel like Euphoria and Sapphic World had like a summer fling, and like we
Common
were we
ancestor.
yeah, we were all spit out of it kind of different. I don't want to necessarily say that like it was Euphoria or Sapphic World, but I feel like there was like there was an escalation. It was an arms race, essentially,
Yeah,
of like who
those
could
those two games are back to back.
who could get like more weird and toxic Yuri with it. Um, and I think it was really good.
Right thing wasn't that toxic. I
Yeah,
think
Bright
I,
Thing was
thi- I
fine.
think Sir Thing is easily the most like normal relationship ever conceived.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Sir Thing is a mix of Six and Lilith's characters in a Sapphic World campaign that Crowley ran, um, which they were wives, but they were in the same body, and it was beautiful. That was how they ended things off. Um,
Yeah, we ended the campaign with one character subsuming the other one entirely.
yeah. Games that permanently changed me and destroyed me. I Okay, I'm gonna go for video games first. Dragon's Dogma did a lot for me. I think Dragon's Dogma really
Really?
changed the way that I think about fantasy. Um, for reasons that are like kind of hard to talk about without getting into spoilers for Dragon's Dogma. Um, it is a game about so like Sapphic World is like a lot of my work, but especially Sapphic World is a game about like um the like taking the like compelling parts of fantasy and like kind of putting them under like a microscope, putting them under like or like a spyglass and like or whatever you call it, eyeglass, and like looking at them closely and like considering like what do we need here? What have we made ourselves need here? What is okay that we've made ourselves need here? Um, and Dragon's Dogma is kind of also about that in the sense that it's about a world that is uh a world that is very simple, and that simplicity is a facade, and there is something deeply wrong with it beneath that. That kind of gets unveiled throughout the game, or not deeply wrong. Well, yeah, I mean deeply wrong with it. There is a
I
structural instability with it. Um,
Yeah, I bought Dragon's Dogma, but my computer couldn't handle it, so I bounced
oh,
right the fuck off. I also didn't own a controller, and I was breaking my fingers trying to play that game.
oh yeah, it's incredible. I really like Dragon's Dogma. Um,
I'll probably come back to it one day.
it's a game about cycles. It's a game about love. It's a game about like uh it's a game that like kind of invites the player to believe and decide that like they are not the be all end all of this world, and that like these people and these characters have like meaningful life outside of them, almost in sort of an Undertale way. And it's really good. um
Undertale didn't change me. Deltarune did, though.
oh yeah, that's fair.
There's another game that I completely forgot to mention that's really, really fucking good,
Oh yeah.
and I will never forget my experience with it. Diaries of a Spaceport Janitor.
Oh yeah, I played some of that and I
Yeah,
got a little lost, but it seemed really cool.
it's the perfect kind of game. It is. the pathologic for I almost said a slur. Pathologic for gay people.
Right, yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, pathologic for gay people is pathologic, to be fair. But
Okay,
I know what you mean.
pathologic for a very specific kind of girl thing.
Yeah. Um, I what's another? Oh, this is a weird one. This is a really really weird one. Um, The Artful Escape, which was a, I believe Annapurna. Or I think it was, yeah, it was Annapurna game. That was real. It had Johnny Galvatron music in it, and it starts out pretty simple. Like it's just like, oh, you're this like kid who's supposed to be like honoring his uncle's like folk legacy, and like eventually he has like dreams of being like a cool like glammy like space rocker, and then he goes to space, and there's a part where you get to completely like you get to completely change his look. You go into like this big like weird like cosmic mall and get to change his look. Um, but the thing that really hit me about that game that I'm still thinking about, and I think like really affected the way that I viewed the rest of the narrative, is that they do not limit you in any way, shape, or form in terms of gender representation. You can just go all the way femme, uh, and like I had no idea there were trans undertones in this game, and so I was playing it, and I was like, oh, this is a character who I'm changing their appearance, I'm changing their name, and another character is like, yeah, next time you see uh, like the person they used like uses, I guess like it's not necessarily his dead name because like he uses he and pronouns throughout the entire thing, and he never like implies that he doesn't want people to use that name, right? But like, uh, she says like, say hi to him. He's a good friend of mine, and I was just like, I think that game made me plural,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
in a big way. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I think, and also both made me like more and less trans in ways that are, well, I think all of it is more trans, right? Like,
Yeah. Listen, listen. Becoming cis is just the absence of becoming trans. You can't really become less trans without being more trans.
yeah,
Once you understand this, all will be clear.
that's very true. Dark Souls 2.
Exactly. I fucking hate that game.
I love that game. It's so beautiful.
I've put 70 hours in it. I love Dark Souls 2. I fucking hate that game.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's terrible. Anytime someone's
I
like,
played that game. I beat that game 4 times just to prove that it didn't have any power over me. It couldn't hurt me anymore.
my friend Melody, bless her soul, streamed Dark Souls 2 and was like complaining to me about like, hey, all these parts suck, and was like, yeah, people tell me to play games, and then they're like they have problems, and I'm like, why do people tell me to play these games if they're not going to warn me about these things? And I'm like, I forget the problems of the Dark Souls 2 when I'm not playing it because it's so good. It's so beautiful. All the little worlds and the creatures and the
I- I'm
themes.
I'm a really annoying bitch when it comes to recommending games. My friend Victoria can attest because I've been watching her play Ultra Kill.
Hmm.
I'm I'm a tech Bible. I love to know the technical details of like if I were to watch somebody play Dark Souls 2 right now, I would be able to recite all the tips and tricks I learned
Me
playing that
too.
game.
Yeah.
I I recommend Bloodstain Ritual of the Night to somebody, and I just unloaded them like 30 different tips and tricks to getting into it, and they still refunded it like maybe 20
God.
minutes later when they couldn't get past the first boss, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh God. What
It's a
what
good
are
game, Bloodstain.
uh Warframe continues to like Warframe. I play it for a little bit when the story content comes out. I leave for a bit, and then I play the new story content, and it just devastates me every time. Like I don't know what the
Nice.
writers are cooking over there, but it's like it's potent. um,
I haven't gotten into Warframe in forever. I play Destiny 2 occasionally because my little brother really likes Destiny 2. Shout out to Caleb. Um, I love my little brother actually. He's not here, so I can gush about him a little bit. He's
Aw.
fucking smart as a whip, but like my God, I love that like I'm the only one who listens to him fucking info dump because every time I visit, it's immediately like pulls me aside. It's like, okay, we got to talk about Destiny. I'm like, okay, okay, and then I sit there for like an hour listening to him talk about it, and occasionally, because I know a little bit about Destiny, I can like I can sort of like put my 2 cents to it, but like it's mostly just me listening to him blitz through everything that I've missed since the last time he info dumped at me.
That's really sweet. Um, I could. Do you want to hear a speed round of games that have altered my brain permanently?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I
Hit me,
just,
hit
I
me,
just,
hit me.
I just have my Steam open, and this has like most of them. Uh, okay. Fallout 4 Far Harbor, Kenshi, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, which I mentioned, Noida, Caves of Cod. Uh,
Inscription.
I have not played. Seems good though.
Yeah, we'll call it and repeating. Super hot.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. God, do I have any others? I don't know if I have others actually.
A big fan of Citizen Sleeper. People should play Citizen Sleeper. They're getting a second game for that.
I've
It's
heard
really
that's
good.
good.
It's a really good it's a really good game. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a good game. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, Lunacid. I mean, Lunacid fucked me up. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Lilith. Lunacid fucked me up. Lunacid fucked me up and continues to fuck me up. I,
Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium is incredible. Disco Elysium hits so hard, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that was an incredible experience. I should play that again someday. Um, yeah. RPGs. Interstitial or Hearts Intertwined was one of my first introductions to Powered by the Apocalypse games, and I think that was really important for me. Um, I think Wanderhome, honestly, like I think Wanderhome had a really big effect on my work, and I think like it's weird to say like I think Wanderhome is a bit simple compared to some of the stuff that Jay is doing these days, but like it is really incredible still. I think Yuzeba's is simple compared to what Seven Part Pact is, but that's like well when I have Jay on next month, I'll talk to her about that. I want to
Yeah.
talk to Jay about Seven Part Pact and almost nothing else, which I think she'll enjoy.
Yeah, I can't pretend D&D 5e hasn't like irreparably changed the course of my life.
Yeah.
It did. It did it. I really enjoyed playing D&D 5e with my friends despite all the problems with it. I was actually part of a D&D podcast for a little bit.
Damn.
Emberspire Radio, Dice at Dawn. Uh, Connor, who's actually in my StarCraft game, which is up on my YouTube channel. Um, he started that. He was DMing that. And I was playing a character called Vermilion Fugue, and it's really fun. It was a really fun game because it's with friends. You know, I used
Yeah.
to run the looking for game circuit where I would meet up with like complete strangers on Discords to play tabletop games
Hmm.
because I was just that desperate for it. I just really fucking wanted to play because I love role play. It's really funny. I think despite the fact that I'm really interested in like being a tactics hound and constantly creating characters that in combat are super tactically proficient, I'm actually a role player more than I am a tactician.
You're a
I
roleplay
feel I'm
head.
not really a war gamer. I'm a fucking theater kid.
Yeah. No, that's so valid. I think that's really cool. I think that like I think it's really cool. Like I think there's like so much value in like seeing ourselves as like as RPG creators and RPG creatives and thinkers and players. Like I think it's really valuable to like think about ourselves in ways that are multifaceted and not always one thing. Um,
Yeah.
Riley Hopkins Zombie Survivalist Second Edition, which actually, we're gonna have Riley on next month, I think.
Shout out to Riley. I've never met you.
Riley's really cool. I've talked to Riley some. Dovecote calendar. Let's see. Uh, yeah, Riley's gonna be not next month. March, early March, 1st of March or 11th. March 11th. Second episode in March. Um,
A short hike's really good. That's a
oh,
game.
I've heard that's good. Uh,
Yeah. Far From Noise also is really good. Fortune 499, baby. Oh, love that game. See, I'm just looking back at shit to make sure I don't forget anything.
Yeah, Galactic 2E, I think had a big influence on like the way that I think about like the scale of games and like uh also just I made stuff for it, and I think like putting stuff out for that was really important for me. Um,
Yeah.
Ye gods, what else? Oh, You Are a Wizard by Polychromaic really made me think like a lot about like color and design for RPGs. Not to just talk about my friends' games, but you know how it is.
Yeah, Quadrilateral Cowboy is a really cool game.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I like it. I just think it's really interesting.
I've heard interesting things about Quadrilateral Cowboy.
It 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 is a game that forces you to actually learn how to fucking type.
Yeah.
I would say it forces you to learn how to code, but it definitely asks a lot of brain from you, and I really appreciate a game like that. Uh, I thought I have a lot of tabletop games that I haven't played before, but I want to play games that I really like the covers of. Godsend, Never Knows Best.
Oh, I think that something a game that seeing and reading really made me understand a lot more about like the possibilities for games. Princess with a Cursed Dick, which is a hack of Princess with a Cursed Sword, by Ananthropy. The hack and the game are both made by Ananthropy, which I think is really really cool.
That's really
Um,
funny. That's not
and
a hack. That's an expansion at that
yeah,
point.
I guess it's a supplement. But just like realizing that, oh yeah, you can make a game that has like themes like this and is exploring topics like this, I think was really eye opening for me. And made me realize that there's so much that can be done.
Yeah, I think letting myself write about mecha perv shit and sex in general and sexuality, from the experience of somebody who like I once had a friend be like, "Man, you are really good at writing characters. Like, you're really good at writing what sexual trauma does to someone and like how they engage with the world." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Whatever. We don't have to think about it." But it's been really healthy for me because I feel like my entire life I've never written anything that was actually truly expressive of myself. I didn't understand how to make art that was me. I didn't
Yeah.
understand what it was to like write like therapy writing where it's like you write about yourself and how you feel about things. I couldn't do it. I'd gotten really close, and looking back at some of my old writing you could see figments of it, but like I Make You is probably like the most raw me thing I've ever written, and I don't even know if I'll ever be able to do it again.
Yeah. I feel similarly with some of my work where it's like I feel like I was able to like finally understand. I don't know. I think for a long time I like forced myself to like kowtow to other people's wants and desires and like be presentable and uh and normal. and
Yeah,
and
because
like it's good to like explore things on my own and for myself and just get out
yeah,
there and
it's
live.
like as a trans woman, there's the instinct to always be as like there's doubled over pressure on presentation as a trans woman because one, you need to present to pass, and two, you need to present as a woman, and that's rough, buddy. It's not great to have to follow the civility of not only being a woman but being a trans woman because it's basically doubled over the expectations. Like that disposable queer we talked about.
Yeah.
Um, and I just feel a lot better about it because I have a really weird relationship to sex being plural. I call myself Ace Flux, you know,
Right.
because that's what makes sense. Is that my sexuality is incredibly fluid, and I can't control when that I feel sexual, and it's really difficult sometimes with relationships, the expectations of intimacy and what I can and cannot give at a time. It's a coin flip. Um, I don't really know where it's sourced from, but like I feel like my intention with everything I do and write is like in that lieu of things is about that like discomfort with body and
Yeah.
that strange relationship to intimacy through sex and the act of making yourself sexually desirable. Because again, as a trans woman, it's a complicated thing because we are primarily seen as either an object of sexual desires or ridicule, which I didn't mention with the Chugga Conroy thing, but I really should have.
Yeah.
People think we deserve to be sexualized ultimately. They might not actively understand that, but they have been societally taught that sexualizing a trans woman is no big deal because they are inherently sexual.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty gross. I feel like an important element that like I've been kind of coming to understand myself with RPGs and with like my weird horny brand of RPGs that I've been kind of trying to make, um, is like the thing that I'm actually trying to do is I've made myself believe for a very long time that like the things like my bizarre fantasies and my strange limits and my strange desires are like uh unusual and incompatible with like the rest of the world's like oh this is what normal horniness looks like and I think like I think I think we're doing like I think we're doing like similar things with our work in the sense that like I think it's important to it's important to like push the boundaries of like what sex and sexuality can look like in fiction and like um
Gay sex can be cannibalism.
gay sex can be cannibalism and also to like uh you know uh yeah play with like what is intimacy like and and like imagine worlds that are maybe you have like different different values and situations than ours and
Yeah,
yeah
that's gunplay right now, where it's like,
mm,
intimacy is at a gun barrel.
right
You know, everybody. Listen, the most normal fetish to have is a gun fetish. Okay, people are putting guns in each other's mouths. That's the default. If you're not doing that, you're weird.
yeah don't be weird about it buddy um hell yeah well we're getting around 2 hours here I think it's probably a good time to wrap up is there anything that you want to point folks towards or say before we wrap up
Um, okay. I have a YouTube channel, Creature of Habit, that has a lot of Lancer VODs. If you're interested in watching those, a lot of them are from
yes
my West March, my personal campaign. I do make music on SoundCloud under the funniest Valentine name, I believe. There's some songs up on there. You know, I make music. Um, I wrote a fan adventure for Homestuck called Cloud Chasers. If you ever want to check that out, I don't fucking know, 50 something pages. OMDI, my Lancer homebrew. If you really want to check out SCP Lancer or I hate the prison industrial complex. That's on my itch, as well as Experivit, which was my first foray into Lancer homebrew. It's bad. Don't play it. Um, it's still up there though, because I don't really feel like I should remove it. Hell is Full coming in 2026, and I have a question for you, Eclipse. Actually,
yeah
we first met or got connected through a Twitter call for artists and contributors, right?
yes
And I submitted my resume and stuff. And I always was curious because I feel like I'd never really picked your brain on this, but like, what do you like? What why'd you like my stuff?
uh well, first of all, I should probably more publicly talk about this, but also I probably don't need to. I don't know. First of all, that was a big fucking mistake. I shouldn't have put out that call that early. I was not ready. I did not understand how expensive making a software world would be. But
Real.
I I really like the trying to think. I think you're really good at like complex clothing and machinery. And also like I just really like the like uh mixed line size with the kind of like blocky shading. I think it's really it's very striking.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
think I sent you an old PDF for OMDI
you
to show
did.
you that I knew how to do formatting.
Yeah, I was also just looking for like really cool, like I don't know, like Sapphic World's an outs like Sapphic World is very outsider art, um, to me, and like
Yeah.
I think like it's important that I have people who like aren't necessarily uh traditionally, or not traditionally, but like it's important that I have people like who have art styles that are not necessarily the thing that you see in every single book all the fucking time, and also that
Yeah.
I have people who like have audiences that are like around my size or smaller, working on the book. I think that's like essential to me. If I'm going to like try and make a big book, I want to lift other people up where
Yeah.
possible, and
Oh,
hope that they can also lift me up.
yeah. I'm picking you up. I'm putting you on my shoulders. I'm carrying you across the finish line, just like Ratatouille.
Yay! I'm wiggling my
Actually, I
arms
think
like
that
Kermit.
was. I think that was actually everything everywhere all at once. But
Yeah. Um.
Um, yeah. I dropped my Twitter in the uh Twitch chat. I'm 3 followers away from 200. That's gonna be so exciting.
Follow Six on Twitter now, you wretched ghouls! Oh, you little squirming
Yeah.
squamblings.
I'm really happy we met and
Me
that we're
too.
friends and shit because I'm not really well connected. I'm really again I'm shy. I'm not well connected. I'm not really good at networking.
Mm.
I'm happy to somehow fumble my way into a really nice and welcoming community of tabletop writers.
Yeah, I'm very glad that we're friends, and I'm like it was a mistake for me to make that call when I did, but also I'm like really glad that I did because it made me meet a lot of really cool people who like uh help helped me a lot, and like are now some of my closest friends, which is like really cool. And yeah, I like Lilith, you, Crowley, Wendy, all people I met through that post. Like it's kind of insane the degree to which like, oh, and Zig, Zig, who's been on the show before, um
Shout out to
Will,
Zig. I've never met you.
Will Jobst, who's going to be on the show in either next month or March, I forget. But yeah, like
Jokes.
yeah, like I listen. I made an error. Uh, I hope that I was clear enough with the folks that like I was not in a like I was looking at, I was window shopping, which do not window
Yeah.
shop for people's work. To be very clear, I think it's a very bad idea. I've learned since, but I do really appreciate the folks like you who've stuck around after that. And
I'm excited to eventually put Sapphic World in my resume of shit I've worked on.
yes, I very
I'm
very
kind of
much.
gnashing at the teeth to finally get a credit on there.
Me and Crowley are very like we really want you to do stuff for Hod, like badly. Uh, if
Got a hot on. I
Yeah,
got a hot on, and all I got was the shirt.
pretty much. But yeah, thank you for being on, Sex. It's been a pleasure. This has been a an intense episode, a beautiful episode, a friendly
I do a lot of
episode.
talking. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I had a really good time. I really liked hearing you talking and hearing your thoughts and everything. Um, and yeah, we're not gonna raid anyone because we're not on Twitch. And I'll just stop the recording here. Bye.